Hello, Mr. Michaud. I'm going to talk about my Ántonia in my basement. Alright, so I made a list of all the stuff that we talked about in class that I could remember, and we were talking about Lena and what makes her successful. And I remember we were talking about like how she just listens to people, and I don't know, she's pretty empathetic. And they mentioned a lot in the book that she's like careless, but like she ends up opposite of what Ántonia ends up. She ends up successful making dresses, and Ántonia is just, she gets left by her husband Larry, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe I could find it in here somewhere. If I can't find it quick, I'll just move on. I know I got it in here somewhere. Come on, this is taking too long. Come on. Nope. God. Oh. I felt bowed with despair, my Ántonia, that had so much good in her and had come home disgraced. Oh, this is on page 277. And that Lena Lingard, that was always a bad one, say what you will, had turned out so well and was coming home here every summer in her silks and satins and doing so much for her mother. I give credit where credit is due, but you know well enough, Jim Burden, there's a great difference in the principles of those two girls. So, I guess the difference in their principles, I guess, is just, I feel like Ántonia just rushes into things like her marriage with Larry, and that's why it ended up unsuccessful. And I remember they were talking about Antonia's fault. Her big fault was she couldn't blank it again. She can't admit the faults of people she really likes, so she'll just ignore it off. But so she's not really level-headed like Lena is, and that's why Lena ended up better and not disgraced like Ántonia. All right, the sun and moon symbol. That's gotta. Oh, here it is. Okay. So I remember you discussing this in class, and you got Ántonia in the west, and she's the sun, and Jim Burden in the east, the moon, and they're on opposite polar sides of the horizon of the earth, and they're confronting each other, and that just shows like they're living different lives, like totally different lives. They can't really like come together. Like, I know Jim wanted Ántonia to be like he would love it if Ántonia was his wife, but that's just not possible because they just live these two different lives. He lives in the city in New York, and he's like really smart and all, but Antonia's a farmer, and they just can't come together, you know? Like, the sun dropped, here's the quote on 284, the sun dropped and lay like a great golden globe in the low west while it hung there. The moon rose in the east, as big as a cartwheel, pale silver, streaked with rose color, thin as a bubble or a ghost moon. For 5, perhaps 10 minutes, the two luminaries confronted each other across the level land, resting on opposite edges of the world. So they're opposite lives, so to say. And it described the moon as thin as a bubble or a ghost moon. And I guess that just goes to say like how Jim's life is just, I don't know, not fulfilling, I guess, because his career, he's not like really passionate about it. He just like did it to like please others, I think. I could find it in the book, but this would take too long. What is losing my train of thought. This is why I can't talk in class. Whatever, we'll just move on. Okay. Oh wait, I wanna talk about the Mr. Shimerda grave because it's near here. So the Mr. Shimerda's grave goes with the red grass. The red grass just grows there. It stays there, unlike around it. Like red grass gets cut down. But it stays by his grave, and I guess that goes to say like it's just a relic of the past. It's always there. It's just his grave is like a landmark, and like whenever you pass it, you go down, like you remember, and like Ántonia said, like, look at my 283. Look at my Papa here. He's been dead all these years, and yet he is more real to me than almost anybody else. He never goes out of my life. I talk to him and consult with him all the time. The older I grow, the better I know him, and the more I understand him. So like Mr. Shimerda has stayed in her life all that time, and like I guess that goes to say like people stick with you forever. All the experience you had with them, you always remember them. They still affect you. Like dang, I had a train of thought, but I just lost it. Yeah, it goes to say with Jim and Antonia's relationship. Like, I remember Ántonia saying like, even though Jim, you're not here, you're like my dad. You're always here with me. Like, and like Jim is burning in her brain. Like, yeah. Whatever. All right. Okay, I'll move on. Experience. I remember us talking about that final like line on the last page. 325. This has been the road of destiny. Had taken us to those early accidents of fortune which predetermined for us all that we could ever be. Now I understood that the same road was to bring us together again. Whatever we had missed, we possessed together the precious, incommunicable past. So, I remember you were discussing this, and you said like, your past, like, pretty much like in a nutshell, your past affects your future. What will make you happy? And like Lena, for example, she lived a busy life with a huge family, and she worked all the time, and she didn't like that. So in her future, to make her happy, she likes to be lonesome because she doesn't like that work at all. And yeah, and I felt like that made me think like you really don't have control over your future. If like all those experiences which you had no control over affect your future, you're I don't know, you're kind of like set up to like, you don't really have much free will in that. All right, So I remember I was talking about the introduction, and we thought the speaker was Nina, and I agree with that. I don't have any objecting opinion, but what's important in the introduction is that it sets an outside view of Jim and his life, and it explains, like, you know, he's very successful, but he's like not really happy. Like, people just his career was just like please others. Like let me find the line. No, that's not that. I remember Ántonia was just like Lena was like explaining to Jim, like, oh, Antonia's bragging about you. She says you'll be rich. Like, and I felt like Jim did that just to like please Ántonia. And come on, this book is too big. Whatever. Again, I didn't find it. Okay, immigrants treat... I remember we were talking about, like, how the immigrants are treated crappily, like... And, like, okay, I remember Kate telling this line, but I highlighted it on 180. I thought the attitude of the town people toward these girls very stupid. And all the foreigners were ignorant people who couldn't speak English, yet people saw no difference between her and the three Marys. They were all bohemians. All hired girls. And so there's just like this disdain for foreigners. And like another line on 181, the country girls were considered a menace to the social order, their beauty shone out too boldly against a conventional background. And Jim wishes well for the hired girls. She wants them to like get better, and like the hired girls do like end up better because like they work, unlike the people who were born in America, and like they had a better future, and they had a better future, and they had like a better future for their kids, and they ended up successful. Oh, Jim, yeah, I kind of discussed that already. Yeah, well, I guess I should just go over parts I thought were important. What is that? Oh yeah, one thing that just surprised me in this book is like Jim's parents died in Virginia, and he never discusses it. And I feel like that tragic thing, if something tragic happened to me like that, I think I would like remember it really well. But he barely discusses it at all. And like in the first chapter, I highlighted on page 15. I knew not whither. I don't think I was homesick. If we never arrived anywhere, it did not matter. Between the earth and the sky, I felt erased, blotted out. So I guess it's a kind of relief to come here. I'm to Nebraska. I feel like he's just like trying to like escape from his awful past in Virginia. Yeah. Oh yeah, and then like after they describe that story with Peter and Pavel the Russians, at the end of that chapter, Jim says, well, he thinks, on 61, I often found myself in a sled drawn by 3 horses, dashing through a country that looked something like Nebraska and something like Virginia. And like, so he's like running from something like the shadows and something bad, and I feel like that bad thing would be like his past in Virginia, and he's like trying to run from it, like Peter and Pavel were running from the wolves. I think Jake and Otto are interesting characters. Otto says like, well, maybe Jake too, but they say like the most like unbelievable stuff that you know, like that's bullshit. I don't know why at all. Yeah. I felt like the Shimurda's chapter was pretty dull in tone. Like there was just those winters and Mr. Shimurda killing himself. I'm pretty sure he killed himself. Unless Kryjek did. But. And then he's buried at a cross. Mr. Shimurda's buried at a crossroads, and then like the crossroads like curve around it. I don't know. Crossroads, like I guess it correlates to something. I'm not sure. Oh, on that grave, 111. I never came upon the place without emotion, and in all the country, it was the spot most dear to me. So Jim gets pretty emotional with this spot. I guess it brings back memories to him about Mr. Shimurda, and I remember on the, like, Mr. Shimurda wasn't really accepted in this Nebraska, on the prairie where he lived. Like, Norwegians wouldn't even accept him in his graveyard, and he was really homesick, and he was just out of place. And then Ántonia, I don't know how to say. Ántonia, she becomes like manly. Okay, the Hired Girls book. So again, yeah, this chapter is just about like these foreign girls. They come to Blackhawk, the town, and they don't really get accepted that well, but they're like kind of messing with the social order there, and like the locals there think they're like superior, but like the hired girls end up better anyway, and they have like become more rich. Oh, the black pianist who was like really good, who was blind. He was really good at playing piano. I guess it goes to show that, like, I guess it shows that even though he had like a bunch of setbacks being blind and black, he still ended up like successful, and I just think that's interesting. There's so much for that. Half is it? Already talked about that. Oh yeah, I feel like I'm like really interested about the Cutters. Like, I don't know, with Cutter's like your stereotypical evil piece of shit person, and I don't know, he's just very unlikable. And his wife's really fugly. This quote on 192, I thought it was important. Wick Cutter was different from any other rascal I have ever known, but I have found Miss Cutters all over the world, sometimes founding new religions, sometimes being forcibly fed. So, like, there's only one kind of Wick Cutter. He's special. Like, there's only one of him, but like, there's many people like Miss Cutter cutters. Forcibly fed. I didn't notice that before, but I don't know, man. There's a lot I don't know about this book. They make it so hard for me. They don't make it user friendly. I still don't really like this book. It's pretty boring. I had to listen to the audiobook to help me get through it the second time. And then there's like the plow. 219, a plow had been standing in the field. The sun was sinking just behind it. It stood out against the sun, was exactly contained within the circle of the disc, the handles, the tongue, the share, black against the molten red. There it was, heroic in size, a picture riding on the sun. And then like the sun sets and it disappears. So and I remember on like one of those reading check quizzes, like it's like the end of I thought it was the end of their adolescence. You know? I guess there's not much to talk about it. Guard. Oh yeah, and then like all these experiences Jim has, they stick with him, and it really shows because like pretty much this whole book is just his recollection of his memories, which, yeah, and it's proven like with this quote on 233. They accompanied me through all my experiences. They were so much alive in me that I scarcely stopped to wonder whether they were alive anywhere else or how. Oh, and he's talking about his friends, and like all those things like stick with him from his past, and that correlated like with Antonia's dad, who she said he's always with me. They just stick with him. Oh yeah, and then oh, did I mention? Yeah, I'm on Lingard right now. That book, but I remember we were talking about the best days were the first to flee. Optima dies, prima fugit. I don't know how to read Latin, but I guess like the best days of your life they're the first to happen. Like everyone thinks like adolescence is the best time in your life, and then after that it goes just fucking full-time job, and it sucks. You go man. Oh, here's the quote. I was talking about like Jim trying to please other people, why he like ended up unhappy in life, and it says on 237, Tony says, okay, I think it's Lena speaking to Jim. Tony says you're gonna be richer than Mr. Harling someday. She's always bragging about you, you know. And so I think that just like made Jim just like, I'm gonna be successful. I'm gonna live up to that. I'm gonna make Tony proud. Oh yeah, and then like Antonia's fault. She won't hear a word against him. She's so sort of innocent. Some of us, 238 by the way, some of us could tell her things, but it wouldn't do any good. She always believe him. That's Antonia's failing, you know. If she once likes people, she won't hear anything against them. And so, yeah, she won't admit faults of other people that she likes a lot, and that's why she kind of ends up shitty in life. And, yeah. And Lena, yeah, again, she's like careless, but she's level-headed. It says she's level-headed. Alright, the Pioneer's Woman's story. Oh yeah, and there was a whole story about Tiny, and like, She becomes very successful. She's got the drive, but like I feel like all that money like didn't make her happy. All that success, like that's not how you live a happy life. On 266, the thrill of them was quite gone. Nothing interested her more, much now, but making money. And on 267, she was at the end. She was satisfied with her success, but not elated. She was like someone in whom the faculty of being interested is worn out. So, money didn't buy happiness in this situation. And it's mentioned like she only talks to like 2 different people, which is pretty lonely. And like, yeah. I hope this, I don't know. I don't run into technical difficulties. Oh yeah, Ántonia ends up unsuccessful, and like she's like crushed by it, and she gives birth to her child silently. I mean, she's tough as nails. I mean, I think she was herding cattle before that. And I don't think I could do that. I mean, I don't know what giving birth is like. Yeah, and the whole marriage failed because I think she just rushed into it. She didn't like take time. She kind of rushed into her second marriage too, like. But like, Anton Kuzak's a much nicer person. I should take a. Okay, the Kuzak boys. Okay, I highlighted this on 289. Some memories are realities and are better than anything that can ever happen to one again. So I remember Jim was afraid to go back and see Ántonia because he'd see her in a much worse position, and he didn't want to like ruin his good memory of her. And he didn't want to see her crushed because I don't know. He was just like, if he did not go back, he would just be ignoring reality. And just like, yeah, things are better. Things are not as good as they actually are. Or never mind. It's a kid. Oh yeah, Ántonia has like many kids, like over 10, and like that's too much. And I don't like how nice the kids are too. It's weird. Like, I've had siblings and we never escorted our guests or anything, or I don't know, they're too nice. It's creepy. Oh yeah, and then it's Ántonia, like she says she belongs on a farm. I belong on a farm. That's, yeah, she says that on 301. And so, yeah, her past experiences have affected where she what makes her happy in life. And yeah. I'm sorry, this video is probably too long. I don't know if I'll edit it or not. I don't really know how to edit videos. It looks hard. And then Antonia's marriage to Kuzak, I'll read this quote on 321. Kuzak had been made the instrument of Antonia's special mission. This was a fine life, certainly, but it wasn't the kind of life he wanted to live. I wondered whether the life that was the right for one was ever the right for two. So when I initially read that, I thought, like, can two people really live like the same life happily, or is that not possible? People can't do that and they can't be happy. And I feel like that might be true. Kuzak's just like locked down there by Ántonia with all like their 10 children, and he's not really the happiest person. He goes to town and just like parties with girls at dances, and he's just like shocked by the size of his family, and like this is the reality you live in. And I don't Jim like really observes Leo, and Leo's like different from all the other children. I don't know like what's so what makes him so special. Like I know he's different and he's more mischievous and a troublemaker, but why does Jim say take such a taking to him? And that's it. Final thoughts. I don't want to read this book again, I guess.
Thank you.